In 1998, the best quarterback in football threw 34 touchdowns, lost one game all season, and led the highest scoring offense the NFL had ever seen. 18 months later, he was unemployed, benched at halftime, told to take a $3 million pay cut, shown the door by the same coach who had pulled him out of retirement, the man he owed his entire comeback to. And in February 2026, the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced its newest class. Randall Cunningham's name wasn't in it. It never will be. Because this year, quietly, with no announcement and no ceremony, his window closed forever. This is the story of how the NFL ran out the clock on the most electrifying quarterback of his generation. 1985, the Philadelphia Eagles take a quarterback out of UNLV in the second round, 37th overall, the first quarterback selected in the entire draft. Nobody in the league had seen anything like him. 6'4", a cannon for an arm. And the problem was, that wasn't even the scary part. When Buddy Ryan arrived in Philadelphia, he didn't try to hold back Randall Cunningham. He turned him loose. Ryan built a defense that terrorized the league. And on offense, his plan was simple. Give the ball to number 12 and let him make 5 big plays a game. Sports Illustrated put him on the cover and gave him a name that stuck. The ultimate weapon. From 1987 to 1990, the Eagles' leading rusher wasn't a running back. It was their quarterback. 4 straight seasons. And it's not because he couldn't throw. Over those same 4 years, only Dan Marino completed more passes. In 1990, he threw 30 touchdowns and ran for 942 yards, 26 yards short of the all-time quarterback rushing record. The Pro Football Writers named him MVP. It was his second Burt Bell Award as the NFL's Player of the Year. But there's a darker number buried in those Philadelphia years. 422. That's how many times Randall Cunningham was sacked in 11 seasons as an Eagle. In 1986, he went down 72 times in a season where he barely threw 200 passes. The Eagles never built him a real offense. No elite line, no star back to hand it to. He was the running game. The front office watched a generational talent absorb a decade of punishment and never spent a dime to protect him. In 1991, it caught up to Cunningham. Week 1, torn ACL, season over. Cunningham fought back. He won Comeback Player of the Year in 1992, but Philadelphia moved on. And after the 1995 season, at just 32 years old, Randall Cunningham retired. The ultimate weapon was done, or so everyone thought. 1996. Randall Cunningham is not in an NFL facility. He's not in a broadcast booth. He's running a granite and marble business in Las Vegas, cutting countertops. And one day, on a job site, his phone rings. It's Dennis Green, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. He talks Cunningham out of retirement and into a backup job in Minnesota, reuniting him with his old Eagles teammate, Cris Carter. And in the 1997 wildcard round, the old magic flashes. Down 9 to the Giants in the fourth quarter at Giant Stadium, Cunningham drags Minnesota back to win it, 23-22. Then comes 1998. Minnesota drafts a receiver named Randy Moss. Starter Brad Johnson goes down early in the season, and Dennis Green hands the offense to a 35-year-old who was cutting countertops 18 months earlier. 3,704 yards, 34 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 106 passer rating, the best in football. The first black quarterback in NFL history to lead the league in passer rating. 15-1 record, 556 points, the most any team had ever scored in a season. On a Monday night game against Green Bay, he threw for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns and called it the greatest night of his football career. The Associated Press and the Pro Football Writers both named him first team All-Pro over Steve Young. He won his third Burt Bell Award, joining a list of 3-time winners that reads Jim Brown, Johnny Unitas, Brett Favre, Randall Cunningham. He finished second in MVP voting that year, behind a Denver running back who rushed for 2,008 yards, a man named Terrell Davis. If you've watched this channel, you know exactly how special Davis was in 1998. That's who it took to beat Randall Cunningham. You probably know how Minnesota's season ended. NFC Championship. A kicker who hadn't missed all year, missed. Atlanta won in overtime, and the greatest offense in history never played in the Super Bowl. But that missed kick isn't this story. Everyone remembers what Gary Anderson lost that day. Nobody talks about what Randall Cunningham was about to lose. After 1998, Minnesota rewarded Cunningham with a 5-year, $28 million contract. On paper, he was the franchise. But watch what Dennis Green actually did that offseason. February 1999, he trades Brad Johnson to Washington for the 11th overall pick. April 1999, he uses that pick on a quarterback, Daunte Culpepper. That same spring, he signs veteran Jeff George to back up Cunningham on a 1-year deal. Minnesota starts 1999 slow with a record of 2-4, and in the 6th game, Dennis Green benches Cunningham at halftime. Jeff George finishes the season 8-2, and Cunningham never takes another meaningful snap for the Minnesota Vikings. February 2000, Green stops calling Randall and starts talking to reporters instead. The message delivered through the press. $4.2 million becomes $1 million or don't come back. Minnesota released Cunningham. He spent 2 years being a backup in Dallas and Baltimore, and after the 2001 season, Randall Cunningham retired for good. The coach who brought him back erased him. Every time you watch Lamar Jackson turn a collapsed pocket into a 40-yard gain, you are watching Randall Cunningham's blueprint. He retired as the NFL's all-time leading rusher among quarterbacks, 4,928 yards, a record that stood for a decade until Michael Vick broke it. He accounted for 242 total touchdowns. Randall Cunningham became eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2007. In roughly 2 decades on the ballot, he was never once a semifinalist, never even in the top 25 of the conversation. In September 2025, his name appeared on the nominee list for the class of 2026, one of 128. The voters cut him before the semifinalist stage, again. And here's the part almost nobody noticed. Because he retired after the 2001 season, 2026 was Randall Cunningham's final year of modern era eligibility. He now falls into the senior pool, a backlog of more than 50 candidates, including all-decade players, fighting for a handful of spots a year. They never told him no. That's the cruelest part. They just ran out the clock. Randall Cunningham was sacked 422 times behind a franchise that never built around him. He came back from a torn ACL. He came back from retirement itself, from a granite yard in Las Vegas to having one of the greatest quarterback seasons ever played. And for that, the NFL gave him a pay cut ultimatum and 20 years of silence from Canton. So here's what I want to know. If Randall Cunningham enters the league in 2018 instead of 1985, with a play caller who builds the offense around his legs instead of punishing him for having them, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Drop your answers in the comments. And if you were in that Metrodome in 1998, tell me what it sounded like. I want to hear it. We tell the stories the NFL buried. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.